How you feeling, sir?
Crazy. It's been a crazy year, so
okay.
Feels surreal, man.
It's been a great year for you. All the Sinners Bleed made the Washington Post Best Thrillers of 2023 list and the New York Times Best Crime Novels of 2023. And Barack Obama said you're one of his favorite authors. How did that feel?
You know what's funny? It feels like one of those things where it's like a dream, and you're like, please don't pinch me, don't nobody wake me up, and you know, at least I got my pants on, because a lot of dreams I don't. So.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm by myself with that. I mean,
they might not know if you got pants on now. Stephen King reviewed All the Sinners Bleed for the New York Times. He wrote, Cosby keeps his eye on the story and the pedal to the metal. You know, what's it like getting a positive review from Stephen King?
Oh man, it's the craziest thing, man. You know, I grew up in Southeast Virginia, really poor. I never could afford to buy Stephen King books, so I'd always go to the library and read them and like be transported to this other world that he's creating. And like, for him to say that about me, it's the best thing ever. I mean, it's like there's not a yeah.
What I like though, man, I like your story of how you just kept it going, because, you know, 4 critically acclaimed novels in just 5 years, but your first novel was rejected 63 times.
Yeah, that sucks.
When did you? Why were you keeping count? 63 times?
Spite.
What made you keep going?
You know, I just felt like I had this thing inside me. I had to do it. I had to tell a story. My mother, she's passed away, but she used to say when I would get down, she's like, you know, birds got to sing, bees got to sting, you got to write. So you
that's how I know you from the country. That's how I know you was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Down on scrapple and bacon and pig feet. So.
There you go. And that's what I like about your books too. Like, you know, a lot of your protagonists are African American men in rural Virginia. You know what I'm saying? Not the typical, you know, characters you see in national best-selling thrillers. Was it hard to find publishers? Did they not understand the world that we come from? Because I'm from South Carolina.
Yes. Yeah. It was very difficult to find. I had a publisher tell me that my books weren't black enough, because they weren't set in like Philly or New Jersey or New York. And I was like, but I'm pretty black. I mean, you know.
There's nothing blacker than the South. The South
exactly.
is the heart and soul of black America.
Exactly.
I think over, 60% of all black people in America live in the South?
Everybody that came up in North and the Great Migration came from the South.
Yeah.
You know, we started in Virginia. We built this country. So for you to tell me, oh, because the people in my books have accents that we're not black enough, it's like, all right, well, you come down my neck of the woods and see what you think. Now, that's not a threat, I'm just saying.
That sounds like, what's that song, Catch You in a Small Town?
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like to me.
They can try it.
Now, All the Sinners Bleed, about a black sheriff trying to catch a serial killer. Razor Blade Tears, 2 ex-cons seeking revenge for the murder of their gay sons. Do you start with developing the mystery or the social commentary?
I actually start with the characters. I mean, like, I think the plots, there's only a couple plots you can do. You know, it's not that, you're not reinventing the wheel here. It's always about the characters and what their story is. You know, I'm not the most original writer, but I think I'm a pretty good elaborator. So,
are they all linked?
No, not. Well, they're all like in the sort of S.A. Cosby shared universe.
Gotcha.
But you don't have to read any of them in order. You can read them anytime you want. Although people from some books make appearances in others, and I like putting those Easter eggs in there. And so it's funny though, because you'll have a reader that will like find that character and like, what were you thinking when you wrote that? I'm like, I wrote that book a year ago, man. Like, I appreciate you buying it, but like, you know, I don't know what to tell you about that.
When you're laying in the bed with no pants on, do you ever start to? Does it freak you out that you have to start thinking like a serial killer? Do you ever think, damn, I'd be good at this?
You know, I really don't think like a serial killer. I sort of like I had a conversation with Desi Lydic a couple years ago. It was like one of my writing idols, and he was talking about how difficult it is for him to write really dark stuff. And I don't know if it's something wrong with him, something wrong with me, because it don't bother me. Like, I'll chop some people up in a wood chipper and then go play my cat. It doesn't faze me. So
in the book, you mean?
Yeah, I mean in the book. Can't they go? You know. I mean, we're in the South, sometimes you got to handle stuff by yourself.
Now, you know, we've worked together along with Kevin Hart on the Audible original Brokedown Prophets.
Yes.
Yeah, the novel is performed by a full cast instead of a single narrator. When you are writing for an audio production, are you directing it in your head as you write?
It's so funny because I'd never written a script or anything like that before. So when y'all guys approached me about it, I was like, all right, I mean, I'll do it. I'll try it and see what happens. And I downloaded a whole bunch of like screenwriting apps and books and stuff like that. But what happened was it became really, for me, it was almost easier than writing a novel. Because you write a novel, you have to describe everything, you have to do the internal monologue, all that kind of stuff. Like, and I'm not really good at some things, like describing spaces in a novel. So like, if you built a house based on the way I describe in a novel, it'd be like 70 feet long and 12 feet wide. So like, I got around that doing all dialogue, and it was really fun. It was an incredible experience for me, and really an honor to work with you guys.
We like working with you too. You say tragic and toxic masculinity runs through your work intentionally. Like, I'm aware of toxic masculinity, but what do you mean by tragic?
I think tragic masculinity is the idea that you can change, you can be better, you can communicate, you can be honest with your feelings, but it's just outside of your reach. And it's the idea that you want it. I think when you have somebody who's imbued with toxic masculinity, they're not thinking that way. They're not doing any kind of self-analysis. But my characters, I call it tragic masculinity because they do think about the mistakes they made, the regrets, the recriminations that they've been through. So for me, it's almost an optimistic way of looking at a very difficult subject.
You love the South like I love the South, but you say it's a microcosm for what's wrong with the nation. If you were to write a thriller about the political state we're in, what would you call it?
Ain't this some shit?
All the sin is bleeding, bro.